into the universe is like taking a trip down memory lane. The farther from Earth we look, the farther back in time we see. The farther back in time we see.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, your connection to the wrestling world, Ken Hill, and welcome to the latest edition of the Wrestling Connection. Well, we'll jump right into it, ladies and gentlemen. We had it's the first week of summer. It's a wild week. It's a wild week all around the world. It's been a wild week in wrestling. We start off with our pay-per-review. This past Sunday at WWE Payback, even though we didn't have official WWE World Heavyweight Championship match, it was still an entertaining pay-per-view nonetheless. We start off with the WWE Divas Championship match with the upstart champion Paige defending against the wily, crazy Alicia Fox. As you can see, Alicia proved a very daunting challenge for Paige, using unorthodox offense such as stretching out and submission holds to keep Paige offset. However, Paige would make an incredible comeback, eventually cinching in her modified Scorpion Lock, known as the PTO, or Paige's Tap Out, to pick up the win and another successful title defense. It just goes to show that Paige is no pushover as far as a new Divas champion is concerned, and it will prove a challenge for future number one contenders. We then move on into what proved to be a very physical United States Championship match, with the champion Sheamus defending against the upstart, the King of Swing, Cesaro. As you can see, Cesaro matched Sheamus blow for blow, or should I say uppercut for fist, leveling Sheamus at times, and there were moments where it seemed like Cesaro was closing in on a second United States Championship reign. At one point, near the end of the match, he would catch Sheamus in the Cesaro swing, swinging around for a total of 15 times, but going to pick it up for the neutralizer, his finishing maneuver, Sheamus caught him with an inside cradle, picking up the 3 count and what many considered a shocking win. Whether they continue the feud or if Cesaro will move on to other championship pursuits remains to be seen. Speaking of other championships, we move on to the Intercontinental title with Mr. Bad News Barrett defending against the challenger RVD, a 7-time Intercontinental champion himself. RVD brought his full array of dazzling kicks to the pay-per-view, including this one a thrust super kick, which we will demonstrate later on in What a Maneuver. RVD proved a very daunting challenge for Mr. Bad News, and had Barrett scouted many times, including dodging this Bad News bullhammer elbow, which sent Barrett crashing to the ring post, seemingly debilitating the champion and setting RVD up for a win. However, Barrett would fight through the pain, nailing the bullhammer elbow and retaining his Intercontinental Championship. Even though we didn't have a WWE World Heavyweight Championship match, at the Payback pay-per-view, Stephanie McMahon had posed Daniel Bryan and his wife Brie Bella an ultimatum, essentially stating that if Daniel Bryan did not surrender the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, as he should, so a fighting champion could be crowned, his wife Brie would be fired. Well, Bryan and Brie were faced with this ultimatum at Payback, but Brie ultimately made the decision for Bryan. As you can see here, Stephanie gloating in the face of Brie, who came to the defense of her husband and the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, who essentially the Brie essentially stating, "You can't fire me, I quit," leveling Stephanie with a slap, which sent the principal owner of WWE scurrying away in absolute shock. Of course, any action taken against McMahon is brought with serious repercussions, as Brie's sister Nikki would find out the next night on Raw. But that is another story. We continue on into the main events, starting with the last man standing match between the leader of the Wyatt family, Bray Wyatt, and John Cena. This match proved to be just as wild, erratic, and exciting as anyone could have predicted, but no one could have predicted how far Cena was willing to go to put Bray down for a 10 count. As you can see here, Cena hurling a set of steel steps into the face of Bray Wyatt, hurling it like a fastball, leveling Bray, and somehow Bray managed to make it before the 10 count. In fact, getting up at a 7 count in this last man standing match, where he had to rise before the count of 10, and somehow Bray survived that. Bray would eventually utilize the use of the Wyatt family, only for the Wyatt family to be negated by John Cena's friends, the Usos. Wyatt and Cena would eventually fight out into the crowd near the pyrotechnics area, where Cena would get Bray Wyatt up into the position for an attitude adjustment, and shortly after slamming him through an equipment crate, would dump another heavier one onto Bray, essentially burying the patriarch of the Wyatt family for the 10 count. Now, what this means for Wyatt and Cena remains to be seen, because we saw on this past Friday on SmackDown, we did not hear the last of Bray Wyatt. Moving on into our a smaller match that I didn't find any photos for, but it was important enough to highlight on. It was an impromptu tag team match between one half of the Rhodes Brothers, Goldust, and his partner Kofi Kingston, going up against a team of Ryback and Curtis Axel. That just the latest in a long line of experiments for Cody Rhodes to try and find a better partner for Goldust. Cody feels like he's the weakest link in the Rhodes Brothers and wanted Goldust to find a better tag team partner. However, this would not be the case, as Goldust and Kofi Kingston came up on the short end. Now, going into our final match, we have the Shield versus Evolution in a no-holds-barred 6-man elimination tag team match. Now, this was exactly as you expected. It was brutal. You had all 6 men fighting throughout the arena, chair shots, bouncing off the announcer's table, ring post shots, kendo stick shots. As you can see here, with Evolution seemingly laying out Roman Reigns and initiating him into the WWE, as it were, lacing into him with kendo stick shot after kendo stick shot. However, the Shield would eventually stage in a miraculous comeback, each member of the Shield eliminating an individual member of Evolution, culminating with Roman Reigns spearing Triple H to pick up the win and a clean sweep for the Shield. Now, this would seem to be the crowning achievement for the Shield, having topped Evolution so dominantly. But however, as you will see in our week in review, one way or another, Triple H, the King of Kings, the cerebral assassin, and the COO of the WWE, always gets his in the end. This past Monday night on Raw, we saw one of the more shocking segments in recent WWE history, something that no one expected. At the top of the hour, Evolution seemingly trying to figure out what to do next. Triple H was trying to trying to reunionize them. He was trying to revitalize Evolution for the next battle, only for Batista to just up and quit because he hadn't got his vaunted one-on-one WWE Championship match since he had come back to WWE, which he had a point about. He hadn't gotten his one-on-one match. His match at WrestleMania turned into a triple threat match, and then there was the whole Evolution business, which he only got involved in because he thought that the end result would be him having his WWE Championship rematch, only for Triple H to tell him no one gets what they want until the Shield is done. And Batista may have seen the writing on the wall and just booked it right out of Raw, right out of the arena, and right out of WWE, quitting for the second time in his WWE career. Now, you would think that would stymie Triple H and Randy Orton. However, Orton reassured the audience and viewers and everyone that he and Triple H were 100% on the same page, and that you should never count Evolution out. Now, Orton would have a match with had a match made with the Shield's Roman Reigns for later in the night, and it seemed like Triple H and Orton were geared and ready to go. The Shield were ready to finish off Evolution once and for all. And we see Triple H coming down to the ring alongside Orton, sledgehammer in hand, and Seth Rollins, the architect, the smart one of the Shield, does the smart thing himself, bringing a couple of steel chairs to reinforce the Shield. However, we found out there was an ulterior motive for bringing in those steel chairs. As we ended up finding out, Rollins would take the steel chair and lace it across the back of Roman Reigns, of his brother, laying him out. And as Reigns laid there, and Dean Ambrose would look on in absolute astonishment. As Dean Ambrose looked on in absolute astonishment, it dawned on him that this was what Triple H had been talking about, that he always had a plan B, that he would always win in the end. That Rollins, after seemingly having saved the Shield last night by diving on to Evolution, just as they were on the brink of eliminating the Shield at Payback, the same man who'd saved the Shield, and not only did that, but reunited them months earlier, saving him from breaking up, ended up being the catalyst for the Shield's end, for the Shield's devastation, laying out both Ambrose and Reigns with chair shot after chair shot after chair shot, just absolutely devastating them, and then we would see Rollins posing alongside Triple H and Randy Orton, and you could hear Triple H, if you watched very closely, you could see Triple H mouthing the words, "I win." And he was right, and for the most part, and let's face facts, he was right. No one saw this coming. No one saw Rollins making the turn. I didn't see it. No one saw it. No one was expecting it. But when you think about it, Rollins has the most to benefit from being with Evolution, by being with Triple H, picking up that crucial experience. He's a high flyer. He is an energetic superstar. His mic skills are coming along, but not as well as Dean Ambrose's. Rollins has much to benefit from being alongside Randy Orton and Triple H, veterans of the business, and hopefully being alongside them will further incorporate Rollins, will further educate him on all the facets of being a main event level WWE superstar for the foreseeable future. Now shifting gears, we move on into our superstar profile. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Our superstar profile is not one but two profiles on the current reigning WWE Tag Team Champions, the Usos. Jimmy and Jay Uso, the sons of legendary WWE superstar, Samoan superstar Rikishi, first made their impact in WWE in 2010, feuding against another generational family in the Hart Dynasty. Competing against the Hart Dynasty and other tag teams on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT throughout the years, the Usos wouldn't really make their impact until around 2011-2012, where they started incorporating more of their Samoan heritage into their moves, into their clothes, and especially with their facial paint. A tribute to their late uncle, Eddie Fatu, otherwise known as the late Samoan bulldozer, Umaga. Jimmy and Jay would start using a traditional war dance known as the Siva Tau, meant to intimidate opponents and show off their strength and energize them for coming battles. This acclimated them to the audience, and especially when they started doing the "ooh so" chants, further establishing themselves as a top babyface tag team in the last couple of years. Many times they would challenge for the tag team championships, going up against the likes of Cody Rhodes and Goldust, and Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins of the Shield, coming up just a little short each time. Even in early 2014, when the very veteran new age Outlaws won the tag team titles and seemingly dodged the Usos at every turn when being challenged for the tag team titles. Coming up right after WrestleMania, Jimmy and Jay would pull off a big win, toppling Billy Gunn and Road Dogg to win their very first WWE Tag Team Championships. Since then, they have defended against many They have many successful title defenses against the likes of Ryback, Cody Rhodes and Goldust, El Matadors, 3MB, and many other tag teams, and have finally worked their way since day one, like it says in their tights, since day one, to establish themselves as the top tag team in the WWE. And they have even shown to have main event credentials, citing alongside John Cena in his feud against Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family, taking on the heavies of the Wyatt family and Rowan and Harper, and proving that they don't back down from a fight. Now, one of the moves that the Usos are famous for, and is a renowned move used throughout generations of wrestling, is the super kick, which I will proceed to demonstrate to you in this week's What a Maneuver. Now, the super kick was first developed in the late 70s and early 80s, introduced to the United States by a wrestler known as Gentleman Chris Evans. Essentially a thrust. It's a thrust kick, except it comes off with more of a snap. I'm going to demonstrate right here. It's essentially it's a side thrust kick. It's not like that, but rather you get more spring off your back foot, so you have more impact with the kick, as I demonstrate right here. Many wrestlers have popularized this move, such as the Usos, Steven Richards, and of course the Hall of Famer, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. It is a very versatile move, can be used by both big men and small, can be used as a setup move, or as we've seen with Shawn Michaels and the Usos, and even their father Rikishi, as a finishing move. Now we wrap up this edition of the Wrestling Connection with a very special Ken's Den.
Time to step into Ken's Den.
Now, if you'll pardon me just a moment. I don't normally go outside the realm of wrestling very often. But considering the circumstances surrounding this week, I feel the need there's someone that I need to address. And that goes to my co-host, Zach Martinkus, or I should say my former co-host, who didn't even have the gumption to tell me that instead of just being worn out from his trip from California to visit his family, that the reason he didn't come in today was that he was quitting the show. Now, I understand that. Zach and I have had our creative differences. There are times where I've been a little too heavy on him for the way for his antics, for the characters he portrays on the show. But there's a reality that he did not seem to grasp. That he told me that I was being selfish, that I was making this show about me. Zach, here's reality. You were right. The show is about me because I came up with the idea for the show. It was my idea, my concept, and it was my idea of my first step into getting my foot into the door of WWE and getting a job there at some point, someday in the future. The second step would actually be driving all the way up to Hartford, Connecticut, and physically sticking my foot in said door. Something you're never going to have the gumption to do. You see, the problem is that you were so enraptured by the idea of showing off all your different wrestling characters, you forgot the most simple fact that all I wanted was my good friend Zach Martinkus on the show. I didn't want the Luna Wolf. I didn't want the Madman. I went along with that to humor you. I just wanted my friend Zach Martinkus on the show. I didn't want some nutso. I didn't want some guy with freaking anger issues, like scaring my viewers. And all I ever heard from people who watched the show, to watch it for you and me, was telling me how odd and off-putting you were. I didn't want to say anything. Because I didn't want to hurt your feelings. I tried to soften the blow. I tried to make things easy for you. I tried to help you by helping you act a little more professional, and you took it the wrong way. You took it like I was trying to take away everything from you. I was trying to take away your personality. I was trying to tell you what to do. I was trying to tell you what to do so I could still do this show, so I could still have a future. Because you never know who's going to be watching this show. Someone from WWE could be watching this show. And what would they think to see some 20-something nut job ranting and raving about the Luna Wolf when we're supposed to be talking about wrestling? I mean, spouting off inane catchphrases. Okay, I have one or two catchphrases. The tagline for the start of the show, the tagline for the end, the tagline for the start of the show, the tagline for the end of the show. Those are the only catchphrases I use. Your nightmare is my domain. Save that for for crappy backyard wrestling. It doesn't belong on my show. The bottom line is, Zach, it is about me. This is about me because this is about making a future for myself. This is about getting WWE's attention. It's about getting my foot in the door and making a difference. because this is what I love. And I thought this was what you love too. Apparently, you love the idea of yourself in wrestling, not as much as just wrestling in general, actually talking about it, breaking it down. You just like the fantasy of professional wrestling. This is reality. The reality is you're done. You're done, and I hope you're happy with yourself. You can go do whatever little show you want. You can swear as much as you want. You can go do whatever you want on your little YouTube show, or whatever podcast, or whatever the heck you decide to do. But the bottom line is, I asked you to be on here because I wanted to share this with you. Because you are my best friend. But you need this dose of reality. You are still my best friend. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you for catching this edition of the Wrestling Connection. If you have any questions, suggestions, or comments, you can catch us on you can post us on www.facebook.com/The Wrestling Connection. You can comment on my Twitter page at WConnection. Or you can email me at thewrestlingconnection@gmail.com if you have any questions or suggestions for new segments or superstars you would like to see profiled on our show, or any moves you'd like to see performed. One-man moves, of course. Otherwise, I have to bring in a wrestling dummy. Anything you like or want to see, just, like I said, facebook.com/Wrestling Connection. My Twitter handle @WConnection, or thewrestlingconnection@gmail.com. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you have a beautiful weekend of summer. Be connected, get connected, stay connected. Have a nice weekend.
Looking deep into the universe is like taking a trip down memory lane. The farther from Earth we look, the farther back in time we see. The farther back in time we see.